is now, though. I'm saying, like, you know what I mean, like, things progress, and we learn new things, and
Yes.
things change.
How many of you believe the earth is flat?
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
How many of you believe the earth is
Oh,
flat?
please don't.
How many of you believe the earth is round? Everybody raised their hand. But how many years back was it convinced? Hello, Columbus
There's
couldn't.
still people today.
Yes. Did you hear about that guy?
Yeah, they're
Trying to
starting
come
over.
back. Yeah,
No
that's
way.
they're starting all over again.
And that wasn't my point, but I
But
know
it's
that.
like,
But there is, it's exactly what Jen's saying. Years before we knew, people thought the earth was flat and you were gonna fall off if you went to the edge. So what she was referring to is something that I say, if it's not a universal truth, it's ego. It's ego because we don't know. Nobody knows. So in that space of nobody knows, you have to really, really question your judgments. Because this could be a place where your clients are in that gap, that you could hurt someone, where you can lose someone, where you can judge someone. So a good activity would be, what are the universal truths that you know, absolutely know and believe? And that would be a good homework. So you have universal truths. Gravity, we need oxygen, water. Then you have a column that is your truths, and then questionable truths. And if a client falls into this and they're different than you in your truths, then you decide, is it something I can deal with? Am I open-minded enough to learn about what other people think that I can help this person put my stuff aside? And if the answer is no, then it's over here and don't see that client. But you have to get really, really, really in tune with what your truths are so that you don't harm the other person. And if you're open enough, then that's where you read, that's where you study, that's where you ask. And that doesn't mean that your judgments are unresolved. It simply means you can put them aside and hear a different perspective. And you'll be shocked how clients can make you say, oh. And your therapist's purpose, maybe, one purpose, is to make you get the erection from the box. So I say everybody's wearing a box, and it's filled with crap. It's kind of like a garbage can, if I would put that hamper on my head, and it's filled with papers about my family beliefs, religious beliefs, socioeconomic beliefs. So James pulled out his socioeconomic belief paperwork earlier. We know that there's something there, a belief system about money, about finances, about how people live, if money's good, money's evil, there's something there. He pulled it out by the way he spoke. Our job, I say, is to give our client an erection. Make them live in their box, but just a little bit. That's it. And that's part of our job. So if we can present an article, a comment, a client case, that makes that person say, oh wow, like this article did for you, the article did its job. It made you think. If you could do that for a client, you did your job. So it's interesting because you're very much with the pleasure as pain. But that has to be a contradiction. And I'm just speaking as an astrologer for a moment. Pisces, we are about pain as pleasure because it is in our psyche that the wholeness, that the afterlife provides what we're looking for. So that has to be an area where you struggle. It has to be a 0 to 100. It is with me.
1000%.
I was just in the Dominican Republic.
You.
And a client of mine is a movie star, and they were shooting something. So I go, because I am trying. It is such a struggle for me to live pleasure is pain. It is practically impossible. I mean, I am really struggling to try to enjoy this world. I realize how difficult this is for me. So I've been on this thing of saying yes. Yes, I'm going to say yes to things, and I'm going to enjoy life because fuck it, right? So I'm trying. Oh my God, you would think that people are like shooting me. I'm in the freaking middle of this amazing island. I'm sitting having my morning coffee with the ocean. What am I stressed out about? Everything. Everything. Because my nature is suffer now, get rewarded later. You have to identify which one of these you are. This is my language, but this is the way I explain it. So it's morning, I wake up, I go to the little restaurant that's right across the street from the villa. I'm having my coffee, the breeze, the ocean. I mean, what could possibly be wrong? Well, I start crying. I'm a baby. The night before, the cast and crew had a dinner. You guys know me. I'm not shy. You guys know I don't shut up. Well, put me in social situations like that, and I become, you would think that I'm like this shy person. I get like a crab, like I'm just like, and I'm sitting at this dinner, and then it turns out that the person in front of me that's at the dinner, we start talking that his aunt had cancer. And then we could start talking about enjoying life. Now it's something that I can relate to. So when I'm talking about these themes, oh my God, you see, I light up, I don't shut up, I could go on and on and on. I mean, we could be here 8 hours, forget 3, nonstop. But when I'm in situations that are just supposed to be pleasure, we're just having a nice meal, or we're just talking about a nice bottle of wine, or we're talking about a vacation. I mean, I've traveled the world. It's not like I don't have things to talk about, people, but I have such a difficulty. It is like this violates the core of who I am. That's why I know there has to be a conflict there. But I'm not having a nice time. I'm not mad at myself. I'm not punishing myself. But something in my psyche says, no, you must put the other person first, or you must struggle now. So we have to see if the client is enjoy now, pay later, or pay now, enjoy later. That's another thing you'll hear clients say. So this same guy that was sitting at me across the street at dinner starts to tell me, he's like, yeah, I really, can't let people down. I need to be the person that shows up for people. That's just like you. That's suffer now. And this is a guy who's obviously a movie star. I don't know what he's been in, but he's there, so he's, because I don't know anything. Every time I'm like, look, I don't know who you are. I haven't seen anything. I don't know anyone. I was not impressed because I didn't know who any of these people were. I'm like the worst person. And I couldn't get starstruck because I didn't like know anyone. So, but he was talking about this. So they had this other get-together on the last day that I was there. And none of the actors wanted to go because they were tired. They have to work in the morning really early. They start really early in the morning. And he's like, I have to go. If no one else is going, like I have to go. He was tired too, but it was that thing of pain as pleasure. I'm going to struggle now, and there has to be a belief. So when I was listening to him speak at dinner and then the next day, I was like, oh, this is a pain as pleasure person. Because it's that thing of, the other. So there's a lot of ways to hear. And if you have somebody who is a pain as pleasure person, how are you going to get them to enjoy life?
Yeah, sure.
No, but doing what you said earlier.
I'm sorry.
No. How are you gonna get someone to enjoy life if
If they get their enjoyment from others.
they get their enjoyment from pain? Do you see the conundrum? If your belief is that this one is for suffering, how do you switch that person's mindset that they have to enjoy life, live in the present?
Make them feel useful. So let's say, in my case, you know, every time one of my friends has a problem, I want to be the first person there. And that's what makes me happy. It's like, oh, I got here first. How are you? Come here, cry on my shoulder. And that's what makes me pleasure. You know, being there with that pain, but I'm there. And I'm the one that's supporting you. And I want you to know that you can bother me. And even if I don't get to sleep because I got to come running for you in the middle of the night, I will. And that's, in my case, that's what pleasure is to me.
Pleasure is suffering. I won't sleep, I won't eat, I won't take care of my own problems, but hell, I'll be taking care of yours. So how many of you would call that a therapist? Do you see that this field attracts that? If I'm forced to live on this earth, whether it's because Adam and Eve ate the apple, or whether I chose to say, fuck you, God, I'm going to go experience it, like in City of Angels. Our field attracts people that have some guilt of being in the body. This is what this field attracts. So, if I'm going to be forced to be in the body, well, it better be damn useful. Meaning, I better serve others. So you're all pain is pleasure people. So
Still like to have fun and eat and do worldly things.
yes, of course. And I do. I love to eat. I'm like Trisha. Food's my thing. You know. That's my coping skill. Totally. And some people it's gambling, and some people it's sex, and some people it's alcohol, and that's all fine. But do you beat yourself up when you engage in these things?
I go to the gym because I like to eat. I gamble, but I'm not an addict.
When you eat,
Yeah.
and you eat like the whole plate, do you say, shit, I wasn't
No.
even that hungry, but did I
No,
eat this whole thing?
I cook a lot. So I'll get up at 11, 12, 1 in the morning sometimes and go make a whole steak sandwich and have some donuts and a soda, and I'll be like, I smashed that. And then I'll go back to bed. And then I enjoy
She's
it.
obsessed with the gym, so yes.
But I work,
She
that's
doesn't
how
okay?
I enjoy eating. I love eating. When I fill up my fridge, I stand in front of it. Sometimes I take pictures. I'm like, this is nice. I literally get joy from it. You know,
Okay,
remember.
guys, listen. She says that she takes pictures of her full fridge and she gets joy from the picture.
Sometimes.
Did you have any sort of hunger issues as a child or anything like that?
My mom used to limit the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a story there. There's always a story. But to answer the question, we are in the flesh, and every single human enjoys something. Now you have sickos like Jeffrey Dahmer that enjoys having sex with dead people and killing people. That is sociopathic, and I've told you that I speak to you in as much normal behavior as possible. I'm not talking about the outliers of over here or over here. I'm talking about the norm as much as norm can be. Okay, that's what we do in here. I don't deal with those outliers. I don't deal with that, okay? But every single one of you has something that you enjoy doing that pleasures the flesh. That is the whole purpose of religion. That was the whole thing with religion, was to beat yourself up. Austerity, I taught you this word the other day, tapas, is austerity. Suffer. Religion is about that. You have a flesh. Limit your pleasure, austerity, tapas, and then that makes you a better person. If you indulge too much, then you're a bad person. So what we try to do, and this is super important for you to assist your client, whatever it is, and I'll just pick on you for a moment. If you have pleasure with your friends, helping them counsel them, that's 100. No matter who it is, she wants to come up first. Is that bit balanced? No, it's a 0 or it's 100. Just like if you're never there for your friend, right? We would call that selfish. Our job is to get somewhere in the middle to the 48 to 52. So you going to the gym in your psyche balances out the pleasure, the guilt you get from eating. How do you balance out the fact that you're always there for your friends more than you're there for yourself? What do you do for yourself?
Eat.
Okay, but that's a self-destructive coping mechanism.
I do absolutely nothing.
Exactly. That's why it's the problem. That's why this is a problem. When there is no time for you, a 0 and 100, and that's one of the things I want you to look in the chart. Not everybody has this. Most people have 1. Find 2 planets. Some people have a whole cluster. My daughter has a friend that her entire chart is in the 1 and in the 7. That's a 0 to 100, a 0 to 100. Everybody has, not everybody, most people have one thing that is, okay, so Jen has, I am so blind. I've really noticed this weekend how blind I am. I have to start wearing my glasses. Jen has the Uranus Chiron, or the Jupiter Chiron. That means that that's a place where someone's going to be 0 to 100, 0 to 100. And funny enough, just so you know, the 6th house is food and nutrition, and people that have Chiron in the 6th tend to be very picky and have that thing with food. And then Jupiter is abundance. So it's an all or none, an all or none. So the way that you've learned to balance that, which is something you need to learn, is to find something in the middle where there is some time for you, where you become a priority in your life. That it's not just other people. That's where we as therapists get very harmed. Very, very harmed. We're narcissists. We think that our purpose here is to serve others. Yes, service is super important. Today, Mr. Patu was sharing a story about someone who serves, and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a shit person. I'm such a piece of shit of a person. What do I do to serve? So, but I also can't turn my entire life into service, because then how am I going to pay my bills? So no matter what it is, when we go to these extremes, so if you hear your client in a 0 to 100, for those of you who haven't seen mine, you want to try to get them as close to the 48 to 52 as possible. That's the erection. So what can we recommend to her to do, as if she's our client today, to get closer to the 48 to 52? So there's no time for self. It's her 0. Everyone else. You never take a client to 48 to 52 from the beginning, because they'll fail. It's too much. You have to give them a little erection, then a little one, and then a little, and you slowly erect them to the middle. What, as therapists, can you suggest in counseling language, not in you should, to her about getting her just a little closer to herself? You guys have been in class a long time to be able to suggest something. Whose is this?
Maybe you could, maybe if you would enjoy to like,
Well, ask her a question.
okay.
First, come up with a question.
If you could picture something relaxing or nice that you would do it for yourself, what would that be? Just something small.
I'm very artistic, so I've been trying, this weekend I didn't have job or school, so I did a mold of my hand so I can turn it into like a vase for dried flowers. So I'm trying to, like you said, little by little, trying to focus on myself a little bit more. So artistic stuff, drawing, painting.
Okay, do you think that it would be possible maybe if you could set aside maybe an hour where you could take a class or just really spend that time like working on your art?
What step is that? She's using the steps.
I just was going,
You're using the steps,
Yeah,
that's
find out
great.
something.
Remember, in the model, so I have a model and we'll cover it over and over again. What was that?
The ritual, what was there again?
Before that. She's speaking about, no, she's speaking about perhaps setting aside to take a class. She's talking about time. When you ask a client to set aside time, in this case it's for herself, but for some artwork, what are you asking them to do?
so focus on yourself.
Right, but you're asking her to write a rule in a rule book.
Okay, yeah.
So she took her right to step 6. So one of the things that we do is we try to get clients to commit to themselves. You're committed to everyone else. She's trying with the element of time to get you to commit to yourself. So stay with that, it's perfect. Keep going.
So, I would do it, to make her write it down. Make her
Well,
write it
first
down.
continue the dialogue because she has to tell you, yes, I can, no, I can't. You have to hear if there's
Okay,
buts
so
and things like that.
with the love of art and molding, do you think it'd be possible that you could set aside maybe just an hour to start with a week where you take a course or you just have that me time for yourself?
That's doable.
Okay, so now do I go with resources?
No, now ask her to commit in her language. Remember, it has to be a SMART goal for her. So go, okay, what could you commit to? And let's see what she says.
So I should
Because
put-
the person might say, oh, every day, and then you know, well, that's where you use education. And you say, well, every day isn't feasible because every day is setting yourself up for failure, very 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And we already see that she's 0 to 100, so we need to get her. So perhaps
Okay.
ask her to see what she's thinking. Remember, let the client provide the resource for themselves. They have the answer. Your client has the answer. They're just choosing not to do it because they're not allowed to. They don't have permission. Remember, they're children that don't have permission to get their own needs met. So why would I go take a class even though it's down the street from my house? Because my mom never let me, because my mother needed to do it, or I had to make dinner for the smaller kids because I wasn't allowed to do my artwork. I was allowed to do all my homework except my art projects, whatever the story is. So there's a reason that we self-sabotage, because we don't have permission to put ourselves first, because we had to put our parents first. Keep that always in the mind. So she doesn't know that background, but it doesn't matter. She's your client right now. Ask her to come up with the solution for herself.
Okay, so you would like to set time aside for yourself to go in and work on your art stuff, your molding. Well, that's a yes, no.
Well, what could you come up with, or what can you commit to?
But,
Open-ended.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So, what would be a good time or amount of time you could set aside a week for yourself?
Well, I'll try to, can't say every Sunday, but every other Sunday to at least take that whole day that I have free to either do in a class or learning something new or creating something new.
Okay, so my ear lights up when you say Sunday. Why Sunday?
Well, because I have school and work between Monday and Friday, and then Saturday, I always feel like Saturday is longer, I don't know why. So I take it to like do all my school stuff and my work, because I'm an ABA therapist, so I have to do like sheets and data sheet and stuff like that, so I do that on Saturdays. And then Sundays, I usually, sleeping late, be with my family, which most of the time is just me in my room, they're in the living room, but that's for me, it's being with my family. And I just feel like Sunday is shorter, just because I guess I sleep in a little bit more. And that's like my relaxing day, because then I start school, work, so.
So why did my ear go up?
On the 7th day.
Because, well, on the 7th day you rest, but I don't know what day is worshipped for Jehovah's Witness. For instance, Friday night to Saturday is Jewish. In church, you go Sunday. So it would be a good opportunity to ask. I would finish that out, but that gives me a whole other thing. And maybe it's my own judgment, but where is the worship? So isn't it interesting, and I'll ask you in a minute, if worship day is Sunday, that she chooses herself on a Sunday, meaning she's putting herself at that level of God, that could create a problem for someone, a lot of guilt, or not, depending on where she is. But do you see how that segues into a whole thing? Nothing is an accident. What day is Jehovah's Witness worship day? Every day.
Yeah. Every day.
But like, what's the?
I think it's Sundays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, but I think mainly it's Sunday.
Okay, so Sunday's a big worship day.
I haven't been to church in years.
Okay,
Maybe
so
6
let's
or 7
finish
years.
with the commitment to get her, and you would educate her about the rule book. She doesn't know, so she's perfect, because she's like a brand new client who can teach. Remember, and this is me, I'm not saying all of you, but I am a counselor educator. When I am with a client, I am teaching. I'm trying to explain, okay? I think, it's my personal opinion, I think that's best, because you're using part of your session to educate the client. So you're asking her to commit, and she said every other Sunday. Is that a smart goal?
Yes, but not the whole day.
Exactly, because she said the whole day.
Yeah.
Realistically, no one's gonna spend 12, 18, whatever hours. So you've got part of it. So what would you do with what she said? How would you respond to that client?
I don't wanna like demotivate her, but then just try to make it a shorter time period.
Okay, so educate. When you don't want to demotivate the client, but you can find a teachable moment, educate. So I want you now to educate her about the rule book, why every other Sunday is success, why that's a good thing, and then give her a question to say, well, can you commit to perhaps X on every other Sunday? So, because she's new, she doesn't know our language yet, so this is a perfect segue.
Okay, well, that makes me really excited and happy that you want to set aside every other Sunday. I don't want to be negative.
Just say it and then I'll tell you.
You could just tell me like, what do you think if instead of taking the whole day, we just commit to a couple of hours to work on yourself, and the rest you can rest and get ready for your whole week, for your week of work in school.
Or that, no, in addition to,
Yeah.
you could educate there, why? That's a perfect opportunity to educate. So what she said was excellent, but you can add to it because, now fill that in. Why would that be a good suggestion if you would have said it?
Okay, so if I would have had that awesome idea, I don't want to do more.
Finish it out.
Okay.
You're not gonna in the middle of the session say, I don't wanna do you anymore. Do you do that in the middle of sex? You do that in the middle of your meal?
No.
Exactly. You finish out your meal, let's finish it out.
Sorry about that.
It's
It's not you, it's me.
It's her. She's self-doubt. and-
It's my first time getting therapy, so we're good.
Don't use this as like a scale.
I won't.
Okay, so I love the motivation of the every other Sunday, the full day. maybe just to start, we could set a smaller, more reasonable amount of time, maybe an hour or so. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it sounds better. Sounds way better.
So
Okay,
that
so I
way-
want you to do two things.
Yes.
First of all, I want you to educate her as to what the rule book is. And I want you to